Hey, and welcome back to Animation Study Group, the series where I, a beginner in animation, encourage you to follow along as I work my way through this, the Animator Survival Kit by Richard Williams. This is episode 19, and in this episode, I'm going to be focusing on the second of three main sneak cycles in the book. In the last episode, we did the first sneak cycle, and I turned that animation into the Monarch from Venture Brothers. I got a lot of feedback on that over on Reddit, a lot of positive feedback, and then also people saying that I ought to film the action, act it out, and animate based on that to get some more realistic movement, which I definitely agree with. I've actually been taking kind of a more critical look at these exercises and finding that when I try to copy them verbatim, they don't really come out with the life that I expect them to have, but just going through the exercise is giving me context to learn from, which is part of the goal. But I'm also hitting a part in the book where I guess I'm just getting a little bit bogged down in the book and I'm not progressing quite as fast as I'd like to be. I'm thinking about maybe taking a break for some time and trying to produce some shorts or try to animate some stuff that I'm sort of passionate about and then maybe get back into the book. But I'm not entirely sure yet. I feel like I definitely am going to at least make it through this series of sneak cycles and then maybe take a break before the next section of the book. But who knows, maybe once I start animating the next exercise, my perspective is going to change a little bit. So hang out and wait around and you will see in real time. I'm not sure yet. But I will say, even if I do take a break, I'm still interested in progressing in this journey of being a hobbyist animator. And I'm going to document that process one way or another. In this exercise, much like the last few, the book gives you some poses, and for this one, it actually gives you poses and timing, which is pretty helpful. One thing that I've started to see on Reddit and in other places from other people working their way through the book is Richard Williams references animating on certain numbers a lot, and I got super confused by that at first, and then I thought I just wasn't interpreting it right or something, because in general, when I think of animating on a certain number, and the way I think a lot of people today refer to animating on a certain number, they're talking about how many frames before the next drawing. And when you hit exercises in this book, Richard Williams will say something like, this is a cycle that you animate on fives. And a lot of times what he means is this action is going to be a 5 drawing action before you hit the next extreme. So it's going to be extreme, 5 drawings, extreme. And it's interesting because he seems to kind of use animating on and then a number interchangeably. I just wanted to bring that up because it's something that confused me. I've seen other people be confused by it. I've seen a couple questions go out into the ether of Reddit. He's usually talking about how long the action is extreme to extreme. Comparing that to the way other people talk about animating on a number, it got a little confusing to me, so I figured that is worth bringing up here. So this sneak cycle, as Richard Williams puts it, is animated on 5s, and my working interpretation of that is, and it checks out with this one, is that you've got an extreme, you've got 5 different poses, including the passing pose, and then you've got the next extreme. So it's 5 drawings extreme. So basically 6 drawings from step to step. Another kind of funky thing about this particular sneak cycle is Richard Williams has his character get airborne in the middle of a sneak. And for me personally, again, I feel like I'm going to run into a situation where I animate this cycle and it just doesn't really look realistic, because if I go and film myself sneaking, I'm not getting airborne ever, right? And I tried to do this motion and film myself doing it, and it kind of came out like maybe an athletic sneak, like you're up on the balls of your toes and you're sort of trying to move quickly but quietly. So I sort of tried to interpret it that way. I also took the pose where Richard Williams has his character up in the air, and I brought that down a little bit. I made it less exaggerated because I just felt like it didn't come across as a sneak. Anyway, you'll see that as I get into the animation. I will say I started filming this one. I filmed the first step, and then I went and just animated the second step and I forgot to film it. So you're just going to see half of this animation process as I go into the usual sped up animation footage, which I will do right now. Okay, here's the end result of me trying to produce the second sneak animation in the book. I have my character looping. I am using the animate tool to drag that animation back each step to keep the character on frame or in the camera so that they can just loop continuously like this. A couple things that I struggled with in this one. Again, at the start, I talked about how the character gets airborne in the cycle, and I still just can't really make sense of that. I don't know why, but it just doesn't look right to me. It looks more like a skip. I guess it is kind of sneaky with the way the shoulders are hunched up and the way the feet are sort of pointed down. The hop looks pretty careful, so I think that gets across. But yeah, I still struggle to make this really look like a sneak. Still a cool exercise. It was cool to see this one come together. There's a transfer that happens as the character is leaping up and coming back down, where the one leg is sort of leaving the ground, the other leg is bent up, and then suddenly the other leg shoots down to kind of make contact with the ground. That's just how the cycle plays out in the book. I think it looks a little bit awkward, but I think maybe it also makes it look a little more like a sneak, like he's trying really quickly to get that foot back down on the ground. All in all, cool exercise. Continuing to do these things is definitely helping me progress. I'm moving a little bit quicker when I do sit down to do them, even though I'm finding the time to sit down and do them less and less. And so the videos are coming out further and further apart, and I'm progressing more and more slowly through the book. Not really sure how I'm gonna continue on with these. I will definitely do the third and final sneak, and then I'm gonna kind of reassess before I jump back into it with the next video, whatever that might be. I'm gonna do the same thing that I've been doing with the past few and try to draw a character, a popular character, and adhere it to this sneak animation. In the last video, I considered the Monarch or the Ice King, and I ended up going with the Monarch from Venture Brothers. But I think maybe I'll use the Ice King from Adventure Time for this one. Or if anyone out there thinks of a sneaky character and comments it before I start working on the final animation, I'll consider that for sure. That's going to do it for this episode. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you are progressing in your animation out there and or just enjoying these videos. I'll see you for the next video where I work on the next sneak cycle. You'll see the short go up where I turn this into a popular character. And then after that, we'll see what the next animation horizon is for me. I've got some ideas. I've got a lot of things that I want to work on. I feel like I also want to continue to progress, and there's a lot I need to learn. Yeah, I'm just not sure yet. Only time will tell. With that said, I am signing off. So until next time, take care.